Last night, West Ham released an interview on their YouTube channel with David Moyes. Gonzo, did you get a sense of déjà vu?
I did, actually. I really did. It's funny you should say that. Such a sense of deja vu. I thought, is this the same one? Did TalkSport steal this as well? I mean, it sounded very, very familiar. And it took me a little while to realise it was a separate interview. I think David Moyes, I think what they've done is they've cloned him, or that's Robot Moyes, basically. So he's repeating the same. So he's like a stuck record at the moment. But yeah, I did get a strange sense of deja vu. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was listening to it, I was thinking, I've heard this before, literally yesterday.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? I seriously, when I was listening to that, well, this is a TalkSport one. No, it can't be, because it's exclusive. It's on the West Ham channel. You know, it's obviously done in-house by the club.
Anyway, you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's literally just under 5 minutes long, and then come back, because we're going to discuss it. We both spoke about the TalkSport one, but we haven't discussed it together. And while Gonzo was listening to it, his pen was burning. I seen steam coming off that paper with your Cat Slater pen. But is there anything you want to talk about first of all?
That made me laugh. I'll tell you what did make me laugh was the first thing I wrote down. Did you notice what was at the very start of it before he started talking? No. It was the chant. We've got Super David Moyes. Yeah. Thought, they're going for it, aren't they? They're actually going for it, you know. So the whole premise to build up to the video is how brilliant he is. We got Super David Moyes. But I've really gone for it there by using that as the intro.
It's a line. He knows exactly what we need, and then it cut to David Moyes sat there.
Absolutely, yeah. I want to change the lyrics for that song now. He knows exactly what we need. We change it. But anyway, go on.
But do you know what? I actually thought, right, he was just a way to admit our form in 2022 as a calendar year was crap. And he just stopped himself and he changed it.
To the end of the season. He did, didn't he? He said, the end of the season. I thought, it's funny.
He was like,
it is funny. Yeah.
He said, we've got into end Christmas time, you know, coming to the new year. We're in touch of top four. We had a really strong 2021. And then he went to just say 2022 has been a bit crap. Then he basically changed it to like, well, since the start of the season, we've not been good enough. Oh, he was so close to just admitting it, but he just changed it. And I actually got the impression that he was almost not admitting, but sort of suggesting that European football papered over the cracks a little bit to some extent, a little bit like that. But do you know what's irritating me the most, Gonzo, is it's actually something the club's done. They've clickbaited it. They've actually clickbaited it. And that's what's irritated me, because what brought my attention to this interview was on social media. They tweeted it out, which was David Moyes thinks we can still qualify for European football. And this obviously creates a backlash because people don't go watch the video. They react to the title, which is understandable. It's an understandable thing, especially something that they know. It's like a hand grenade. They've thrown a hand grenade out there and it's explode. They know it's going to explode. And it's really irritating me because I thought there's only so many scenarios here. Either A, they're unaware of some of the fans' discontent with David Moyes. Now, that's impossible because all you have to do is go back to the last few, look at their tweets. They put up a picture of Paqueta or whatever in training. People saying, he doesn't look very happy to be back, does he? You know, it's joking stuff. It's humour. But at the same time, there's undertones, which is we're not very happy. But then you look at the substitution against Fulham, Scamacca off, Flynn Downs on, the comments about Moyes being a dinosaur, here we go again kind of thing. And that is where fans vent their frustration. So it's not that they can't be oblivious to this. So they have to be aware that some fans are unhappy. Mark Noble has alluded to it. I read an article with Mark Noble yesterday in one of the newspapers, and Mark Noble spoke about a part of the fan base being unhappy with David Moyes, and it's a social media thing, and some Liverpool fans are unhappy, Jurgen Klopp, blah, blah, blah. So Mark Noble's aware of it. The club are definitely aware of it too. So why have they clickbaited it? Are they trying to wind the fans up, or are they literally just clickbaiting to get people to click on the video? But it's not work because they're not clicking on it. They're just responding to the tweet kind of thing. And I think they've actually stitched David Moyes up a little bit there, because if you listen to what he says, he's basically suggesting via the conference that he does say, or via the league like we have done the last 2 years. But the first thing he says, whether it's through winning the cup
Yes.
or the league. And I think he's very much talking about winning the cup, winning the Europa Conference League, and that'll get us back into European football. And I just think the club have stitched him up a little bit there, actually. I just think it's a bit unhelpful. And I think doing the interview is unhelpful. The one thing I thought about after when I did my video the other day about his TalkSport one was, I think it's a foolish thing for Moyes to have done, to have gone on TalkSport. He was always going to get that question, and there isn't a right answer. There's nothing Moyes could have said. Are you in a relegation battle? There is nothing Moyes could have said which everybody would have been happy with. There isn't.
Yeah, but none of it makes any sense because there's a massive contradiction, two massive contradictions that struck me about all this. First one is he appears to have spent the last 3-4 weeks avoiding any interviews. And I do wonder if it, because we've all noticed it and we've all said, well, hold on, why is Billy McKinley being put forward? Why is Warburton being put forward? Why hasn't David Moyes spoken? So I think he's very much saying, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this. And I do actually wonder if somebody's had a word and said, we need you to do some, it's part of it. And it's almost, he's gone from famine to feast, basically, because I think he's done 3 in the last 3 days, as far as I can tell. So I find that a bit weird. And he doesn't, because it doesn't say anything. That's the thing. Very, very few managers do say anything. If he was someone else, I'd accuse him of being trained to within an inch of his life, but I don't think he is. I think he just doesn't say anything. I don't think David Moyes has sat on loads of media courses. I don't think he wants to. I don't think he particularly needs to. He knows how to shut up, right, basically. The other thing I think is a bit of a contradiction is this whole social media thing. And you're right about Mark Noble. It's as if, there is some criticism, but that's just happening on social media, as if that doesn't count. But that is the way it's done now. It might be social media, it might be the comments on this video, it might be on a website, but that's how it's done. And you can't have it both ways. So you can't basically say, oh, social media doesn't count, and then put this interview out on social media, which is what you might have your own definitions of it. But for me, YouTube is still a form of social media. Social media, bad social media, bad social media. Oh, here, have a look at this David Moyes interview on social media, and I do find it a little bit odd on that one, really. There's nothing to say at the moment. It's actions. It's not even actions speak louder than words. They really don't. He can say this stuff about Arsenal, but we all know that. We discussed it in whatever the day before in the Arsenal preview about the statistics away from home against the top teams. It almost doesn't matter anymore. No words are going to do anything at all. He needs to go and get something from Arsenal just to really quell the sort of disquiet. He might be able to do it with words, but not the words David Moyes wants to use, and certainly not a puff piece like this. Maybe if he came out and was totally honest, said, look, I'm mucked up. I should have brought some players in last January. We've had a really crap year. If he started speaking like that, you might get the response that you want. But if he's just going to sort of hedge his bets,
you have to say it for him, though, don't you? You have to say it for him because he alludes to that, but he doesn't say it himself. You know, he says last season we were a bit thin on numbers, and you, as a fan, are listening, going, yeah. We know we were.
Yeah, but he acts like he's the victim in that, and this is something that I don't like. He said we were short on numbers last season, like it's some unfortunate circumstance that's befallen him. It's not an accident, you know. It doesn't like there was a hurricane sort of swept through East London and it sort of sucked up half the squad and dumped them in the Outer Hebrides, and you were only left with 7 outfield players. That's not what happened. You constructed that squad yourself. So he sort of acted, that was an unfortunate circumstance. We didn't have many players. Well, come on, mate. You know, but you could have bought some players. You had 18 months you were set on money for a striker. Telling everyone, I got money for a striker. The board are great. Got money for a striker. Can't find a striker. Oh, we're low on numbers.
Anyway, before we talk about the next topic from this interview, Gonzo, it's nearly Christmas time. What can a West Ham fan get for Christmas?
Well, you can buy me something, but if you don't want to do that, you ever had that thing, right, where somebody says to you, what do you want for Christmas?
Like, no one asks me.
Don't. Okay. Well, if they did, if people ask me, I think, I don't know. Honestly, I think it's a really tough one, particularly the older you get. I don't know what I want for Christmas.
Because in your head, you're like, do I ask them what their budget is?
That's right. Yeah.
How much are they willing to spend?
Can I say a new car? You can't, by the way. I'll tell you that now. That's for free. If somebody asks you what you want for Christmas and you don't know, like me, then may I suggest the Hammers Chat Patron? It might not be something that's in your hand. It might not be something that you can wrap up. However, I think as a gift, it's a bloody good one, because what you're going to get is a whole extra West Ham fan channel, which is basically lots of interviews, lots of predictions, lots of podcasts, lots of analytics. We call it Hammerlytics because we're clever like that. We've also got Anton Ferdinand is part of, and a regular feature and a regular contributor. It's easy to say. For our Patreon channel, you get discounts in the store. You get so much stuff. We think it is the best value patron out there. So if you don't know and you don't know what to get, and whatever, your mum, your girlfriends, a stranger is saying, what do you want for Christmas? Say, can I please have Hammers Chat Patron? Now, the link is in the description below, or you can go to patreon.com/Hammers Chat. And thank you, Gio. And there are three different tiers. So I think every price range is catered for, all of it.
Every amount of love from the person asking you is catered for as well.
How much do you love me? Do you love me enough to make me a Hammers Chat addict, or not?
Just enough to make me a supporters tier, please.
Yeah.
Link in description below. They can pay for a year as well and save 10%, so you get 12 months. So then this time next year, you'll have to go back and say, excuse me, do you still love me to renew my? Thank you.
You did last year.
Yeah. What really annoyed me about the TalkSport interview annoyed me again in this one, Gonzo. He's gone on about how we were unlucky in games, and it riles me up. Actually, it really irritates me. In fact, if he sat there and said, like I said, when he gets asked the question on TalkSport, are you in a relegation? There's only so much. In fact, I don't think there is anything you can say. If he says yes, it sounds a little bit defeatist. If he says no, it sounds a little bit deluded. He can't really win there. He could say something along the lines of, "Well, we've got to be careful, otherwise we'll get sucked into one." Fine. There's the words of somebody who's aware that we're lingering close to that bottom of the table, but to then say no, but anyway, in this one, which is a club piece, he's still going on about us being unlucky in games. I think, I really cannot agree with that. Have we been unlucky in some games? Yes. And he gave the examples. Nottingham Forest away when we hit the woodwork a few times. Liverpool when we had the penalty. Chelsea VAR, fine. But there's been other games we've been lucky to get points in that we have got points in. Like when we played Fulham at home, we won because they were crap. That was it. We weren't that good. They were just rubbish. Villa, there was a bit of luck on our side as well.
Wolves, I thought as well.
Yeah, it just really irritates me because I think he thinks the performances are fine and we just do what we've been doing so far this season, but we just copy and paste it. We'll stay up. And I worry that won't be enough. I do worry that we copy and paste it, that will get us sucked into the bottom three, because you look who's underneath us and who have changed their managers. And now the one slight positivity is I know a couple of Wolves fans and Southampton fans, and they've also got new managers. They had cup games this week, and they're all saying, "Oh, we were crap. We were rubbish." But I'm taking that with a pinch of salt. But it sounds like they're also their fan base are also wondering what their new manager's been doing with the World Cup break, because they don't really feel that they're looking any better at the minute. But I don't know. It just concerns me a little bit, and it just feels a little bit oblivious to the situation. Do you know when you were talking about how we hadn't heard from Moyes for 3-4 weeks? Well, I didn't know he went to Florida and for a little holiday. Well, I'm not against that to some extent, but I have to confess I've been a bit irritated today seeing, the club, Declan's back, Paqueta's back, Keder's back. But then you look at, I was doing like the opposition prediction for Patreon, funnily enough, earlier, and I was looking at the Arsenal friendlies. Their World Cup players have been back playing friendlies for them. Xhaka, Partey, obviously Ben White doesn't really count. Ramsdale, Martinelli, I don't know if he's played a friendly actually, but their World Cup players have been back for them. They've gone back earlier. You see Mbappe turning up for PSG training today. Yesterday, when you're watching this yesterday, World Cup final 4 days later, he's back in PSG's training, and I just sit there and think, I just want to see a bit of determination. I want a little bit of fire from us, really. A little bit of something that says, don't worry, we're all doing everything we can to put this right. I mean, Taylor Kerr was knocked out in the group stage.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I don't know. I think it is an odd one. I don't mind him going on holiday at all. I don't mind that at all. But come back refreshed and come back and, you know, take a week off and come back and get stuck in. You know, everyone needs a break. And to be fair, you know, even though he won't admit it, it has been a hard year for him. There's no doubt about it. You know, as I say, he'd have been better off saying, oh, you know, it's been a crap old year. You know, it's gutted to get knocked out in the semi-finals. The league form's not been great for about 12 months. I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna take a week out and get back, and we're gonna hit it hard. You know, he'd been better off saying that, really. For that. When he was making all the excuses of being unlucky, and he said, and sometimes we haven't got 3 points. And he said, and all 3 points, he said, and getting all 3 points can make a huge difference. So, no shit, Sherlock, really.
And you started comparing it when we lost a point in the last minute to Palace. He's like, 1 point, you know.
Just like, absolutely. Like the old boxer, I lost. I'll tell you what, if I'd have knocked him out, I would have won, you know. Superman lived in a cave, he'd be Batman. Do you know what I mean? It just, honestly, I'd rather him not do it. I really would. But then it gives us something to talk about, really, doesn't it? But it really is. It's just time. It's time for action now, because he can do all these things. The interview really is either good or bad. Is sat down after the Arsenal game, and he will reap whatever he sows on that, which is he can sit down. Win against Arsenal, he can sit down. He can never mind 5-minute interview. He'll be saying, "Can we make this one 55 minutes?" He'll sit back and go, "Ask me the questions. You know, let's have it." Or it will be.
There's Mark Warburton. See you later.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny. Just going back just quickly, just to the start of the video when you were talking about Mark Noble and Mark Noble being aware of it. You said, I think a lot of them are aware of it. Alan Irvine would have been aware of it before. Pierce would have been aware of it. Nolan, Nevin, all these people are aware of it. There's the two striking questions for me. Number one, how much of it do they say to Moyes? Or if they do feel that they can say it to Moyes, how much of it is taken in? Because being a scary dude has got its drawbacks, I would imagine. And when I don't mean like you think Moyes is going to beat you up, but being so grumpy and unapproachable that no one can say anything to you is detrimental. I think, and he strikes me as that sort of guy. Do you know what I mean? Or, you know, if you're around his house and he made you something to eat, and you know, and he threw it, all right, nice. Even if it tasted horrible, do you know what I mean? So probably people don't say an awful lot to Moyes, do you know what I mean? So he probably thinks everything's just.
I'm not surprised. Someone did call him Moyes. He got grief for it.
That's true.
All he did was call him Moyes. Just fucking hell, what mates are we or whatever it was. He said. I didn't realise we were that fucking close or something. He said. And journalists, all the journalist did was call him Moyes. It's not like he called him anything offensive.
I'd have gone with treacle.
Yeah, well, maybe you should try calling him something like that. Anyway, we shall leave it there. But I'm gonna disappear. Gonzo will be back on the forum channel later. Lots of videos going up recently. The Arsenal preview interview with Nigel Winterburn. But you fancy a little bit of Patreon, or you fancy someone getting you a little bit of Patreon? Links in description and the pinned comments. Myself and Gonzo, catch you in a bit.